stand for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, I believe Phil is in Florida. He is in Florida.
That's too bad. It's really cold down there.
Really sucks. I don't hear about it. It's been really cold down there. It is. Right. Call the ordinance committee meeting to order. We did. Is there any public comment? You know the drill.
Okay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Paul Edwards, 56 Davis Road, Seymour. I'm here to make some public comments about the fire department ordinance proposal by Fire Chief Edwards, specifically Section 6-21 regarding appointments of fire chiefs.
Hold on,
This
let us get to it. Hold on. Go ahead.
This is not directed at any individual or group. In fact, I want to thank Chris Edwards for bringing this up and pointing out that, yes, it needs to change. But just giving the fire commissioners only a 3-year choice is problematic. Let me give you some scenarios that may occur in the law.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I
But-
heard you thank him, and that said, what?
What section are you talking about? I'm sorry.
Section 6-21.
6-21. 6-21. Officers, members?
Now, 6-21 is about the appointment of fire chiefs.
Got it.
Appointments.
Okay.
Thank you.
What I said was I want to thank Chris Edwards for bringing this up and pointing out that, yes, it needs to change.
Okay.
But just giving the fire commissioners only a 3-year choice is problematic. Let me give you some scenarios looking at this long term. Any chief wants 1 or 2 years but doesn't want 3 years. A vacancy occurs at an upper chief, but the lower chief or chiefs would like 1 or 2 more years experience before moving up. No, that just occurred. Quinn Levy resigned yesterday. So if the 3-year existed, what do we do as a fire commissioner? Let's say we're into this year. Do we appoint somebody else for 3 years? Well, if the ordinance changes, we'd be stuck with that. And, okay, what does that do with the other chiefs? The other 3 chiefs would be behind a year. So, a lack of applications results in temporary vacancy. A past chief could temporarily take that spot for the other chiefs to get 1 or 2 more years of experience and training. A company line officer decides that now is the time to become chief. He needs or she needs 1 or 2
Hold on a minute.
classes.
I thought you were in Florida. I apologize. We just started.
He needs 1 or 2 classes, or she, but doesn't want to wait for 3 years for a change. Younger members, which is going to be our future, may want to go for chiefs, but don't want the commitment of 3 years times 4. They are looking at getting married, having children, going to school, building a house.
I'm sorry, what's 3 years times 4?
If you start out as FD4, 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, 3 years for FD4, FD3, FD2, and FD1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. These are just some potential scenarios. The 3-year locks us in with no options. I believe the more options the fire commissioners have, the better. Even though the present ordinance says 1 year, in practice, for countless years, most of the people appointed have gotten 2 years. I've been here a long time, and that's been practice. Maybe not by the ordinance, but practice. That's the way it's always been. Now, whatever occurs here, I will be submitting my own ordinance change regarding this specific section. But my proposal will give the fire commissioners more options. Now, looking ahead, I checked the following. First, I checked General Statutes, Chapter 98, Section 7-48, inclusive. I say that because there's a whole bunch of ABCDs. Then I checked the Town Charter section 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, and 6.8. And then I checked the Town of Code Oranges, Chapter 1. I find nothing that says I can't try. So I will try. A town attorney may recommend some time lapse. That's fine. But my plan is to do the following. First, submit to both fire companies at the same time. Then the chiefs. Then the fire commissioners with detailed follow-up. I will bug them for a comment one way or the other. And if they decide not to comment, I will report that back to you guys. Your committee may want to consider rejecting this section change in lieu of mine. But I will gladly work with anybody to make this better. And that's what I have, to make this better. Because looking at it 5-10 years from now, I see where the fire commissioners need more. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Alright.
just state your name and address for record,
Perfect. I
please.
also have some docs for you guys. Do you mind if I bring them up?
Absolutely. No, I don't mind. Yes,
Perfect. Here, I just printed these off.
absolutely, I don't mind. Absolutely, I do not mind, sorry.
So, it's similar to what Paul just mentioned, just two concerned sections from the Great Hill Hose Company. So yeah, my name's Brandon Dos Santos. My address is 14 Forest Road Extension. I am the president of Great Hill Hose.
Hold on,
Yep.
Brian, can you spell your name for the record, please?
Brandon, Brandon, Dos Santos, Dossantos.
Thank you, just because when they type up the minutes, we want to make sure all the spelling is correctly.
Yeah, no worries. Perfect. Yeah, so I am the president of Great Hill Hose, and we had our monthly meeting about 3 weeks ago where these ordinance changes were brought up. We received a lot of feedback from roughly, I would say, about 15 to 16 members, all of which expressing similar opinions. So I took it upon myself to kind of consolidate all of their thoughts and put it into a document and then present it here to the board for review. There's really just two sections of concern within the feedback that I've received from the company, starting with section 6-22, which is enlistments, qualifications of volunteers. So the members of the Great Hill Hose Company have no issues with town employees being members of the fire department. However, we ask that those town employees join one of the two houses. So there are unique characteristics to each firehouse, such as the equipment, the training tactics, so on and so forth, that are learned through hands-on training during our respective drills. So in addition, much of our training is team-based as well. So by joining one of the specified firehouses, you have the ability to build relationships with those that you're working with, which we think is extremely valuable because there's a lot of soft skills and different tactics that the Great Hill Hose Company might enlist based on the environment in which we operate in versus Citizens Engine Company, right?
But
So-
isn't it, and I don't mean to interrupt you, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I don't
Because
mind.
it's public comment, so once
Yeah.
we get out of public comment, we can go back and forth for
Okay.
questions, how's that?
Perfect. Sounds good. Essentially, what we're looking for is, we suggest waiving any social requirements such as company events for eligibility, right? Because those are part of the membership requirements at Great Hill and many of the membership requirements I would assume at Citizens Engine Company. So waiving those requirements for town employees, but just asking that they become members of one of the firehouses so that they can train with us and learn those those tactical firefighting decision making that comes through our company officers. And then regarding 6-21, which is officers and members, which Paul just commented on, the company, based on the feedback that I received, strongly feels that 3-year chief appointments are excessively long. A lot of them citing that, essentially this would be a 12-year commitment just to become chief. So 3 years as a company officer, and then 3 years in the respective chief's positions, such as assistant chief and deputy chief, each. And then, that would be essentially 15 years to complete said term if nobody is essentially reelected, right? And given that time commitment, right, like Paul mentioned, people have families, things change over those times, and that's a very long commitment that the company is quite concerned about, and they personally believe that leadership positions like these should stay at the 1-year appointments that we have currently. So allowing, if you are good at your job, essentially, right, the fire commissioners can reelect you for an additional term every year, just in the same way that we do it now. So, yeah, that's really all the feedback I had. I essentially printed all of the company comments and notes under the suggested ordinance committee changes, and then underneath that is just suggested language from the Great Hill Hose Company. So, suggested edits to said ordinance changes. So, just to equip you with everybody's thoughts. So that was ran by like 15 members. They all commented on it and they all approved it. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. What?
Do you have a copy of the original in red that was submitted for, I just forgot to bring one.
For you, Phil, I will give you the world.
I always said that.
I know you did. Okay. Okay, thank you. So on to discussion and possible actions. The senior citizen tax incentive, as we all know, the legislation goes back into tomorrow, and we are looking for them to give us some legal standpoint on this. By legal standpoint, I mean looking for them to actually put something together with me instead of this Homestead Act that really does not apply to everybody without hurting everybody.
Or make a motion to table the senior citizen tax incentive.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Trish, second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 4-0. Disabled veteran exemption, except for you, everybody, Phil, except for you, everybody has a copy of the disabled veteran exemption. This is, Phil, what Attorney Bertullo was speaking about last meeting, and this is what Derby had done with the Gold Star exemption. They had just passed this. I know I'm just putting it in front of you now. So if we want to look at this and maybe put it on our agenda for the February.
Yeah, because I'd want to read this.
What? 17th meeting.
Make a motion to table until February 17th.
Okay, thank you.
The disabled
Second.
veterans exemption.
Yeah, I will second that.
Motion by Trish, second by Bob Finley. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Firefighters. Thank you. We have Brandon and we have Paul, and I see Mr. Atkins is here, and I see we have Commissioner Miller here. So I guess if we have any questions, it'd be safe to ask you guys or give some feedback. Okay. Brandon, thank you for doing what you did. Paul, thank you for standing up. It took a lot for you to come, Brandon, and put all these notes together to get this going. I really wish we had this earlier on in the process, considering that this was talked about in October, right?
My question comes down to, is there a compromise? One group saying one group saying three, is a compromise too. I mean, is there something in the middle that makes sense where you do get a little bit of room to do that? You can be reissued, but it gives you that 2-year window versus the single year. I don't know.
That's where I'm kind of going, because the first year, I don't really think you can get as much accomplished. I mean, obviously, there's a big difference between 1 and 2 years, but just thinking of the safety of the town and my role here and approving the ordinances. While I have great respect for all of the members of the fire company and the two houses coming forward saying they prefer the 1 year that's there, my head is telling me that's just not smart because it's not providing the consistency and the length of time needed to get your feet wet, get things started and rolling, and see at least some of it through or part way through. So I'm also leaning
And you have
towards
a
2 years.
process to be able to remove somebody if they weren't doing a good job. So
Right.
the process is there to remove. There's, arguments on both sides, 1 to 3, right? I think you just meet in the middle, and that's the number. I mean, I'm making it
And
easy.
I'm not even concerned, I want to say this for the record, Chris putting that forth, he's already been in the position for how long? So he's not doing this for his benefit.
Right.
It's very obvious to me, it's not like he put in a 10-year, 15-year term so he can stay. But I completely, I want to respect the members who are working on this and want to keep the 1 year, but also completely respect and totally agree and understand that when you're starting any new role, no matter what it is, in a year's time period, I think it's hard to argue, there's only so much that you can get going, and you need that extra time to start seeing these things through and the snowball effect happening. So I agree with Selectman Finley that I think in respect to all of that, maybe a 2-year period is the way to go.
And that's really a question out to you guys. I mean, I'm just floating that out there of why it wasn't 2. Why are we going, why does it have to be 1? And
Mr. Atkins, are you saying it has to be 1? Is that what you? Oh. You can come
yeah,
up.
you can come up and speak, sure. So we want to hear.
So we want to hear.
Gene Eckes, 3 Forest Road. I've been in the volunteer fire department 57 years. There's a procedure that goes through how it works, okay? Every year, the commissioners, Board of Fire Commissioners, review who wants to lay out all the requirements for the chief. They, every year, interview each candidate, okay? It could be 1 year, it could be 3 years, it could be 4 years, depending on how they do and what's going on. The issue that I see is setting a 3-year thing, like I say, it's a long time. But the issue is, every year, every fire chief is reviewed, assistant chiefs, under chiefs underneath, reviewed every year. You can move up, move down, wherever the commissioners feel important, okay? I think the most important thing of this whole thing is it's reviewed every year. So if you want to go 2 years and everybody in the Board of Fire Chiefs agrees, it's 2 years. If you only want to go 1 year, that's 1 year. The purpose of the chiefs, chief, assistant, deputy chief, whatever it is now, and the other chiefs is when you're chief, you bring everybody along with you. When you're fourth assistant chief, you learn the ropes. He moves up, then he becomes second, third, then first, all the way up. The purpose of the fire chiefs is to bring those people along, to give them the experience, give them the knowledge, so when they come to the Board of Finance or the Board of anything, they know how to do it.
Correct.
So if that's not being done, then maybe that's the reason they want 3 years. I don't know. But it's been for the history 2 years, right? They're in for 2 years.
It
You
has been the
review them
history.
every year, but it's been for 2 years.
I would
Ordinance.
agree to
That
review
would-
them,
but that's-
absolutely.
The review is absolute.
Absolutely,
Right?
just like a
That-
job, right?
It's more
Absolutely.
the length of time that you're saying it's a 1 year. Right now, right, it's written that it's 1 year.
Right.
So arguably, you could review them, and that's why you have processes, and if they weren't doing a good job, you can take
Remove
it,
them.
step them down,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, that's
That's right.
some of
So
the
that's,
deal, right? So-
why do you even want to do a 3 year? Or 1 year, 2 year? It's reviewed every year. If you're doing your job, you move. If you don't do your job, then what the Board of Fire Chiefs, a Board of Fire Commissioners do is vote on it. And they interview each candidate every year. So I don't understand why you have to set,
Well, let me ask you this. This is my ignorance.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to sound snide or not, and I don't mean it to if it does, but then why have these 3-year terms for the other? If everyone's having a term, we should give the chief a term, right? And to me, the leader needs to have just as much time to prove they're doing a good job and review just like every other position. So if
Exactly.
we, the commissioners, why would you have a longer term? Why would a commissioner have a longer term than the chief of the fire department?
They don't have to. They could be.
And if it's
But
a
the
problem
commissioners
with
are in the I'm sorry, but
the-
the commissioners in the
we
ordinance.
can hold hands.
It's a tough day today, you realize that, right? The commissioners have 3-year terms.
2-year terms.
3.
3, yeah.
Your commissioners have 3-year terms.
So we're talking about the longevity that Mr.,
The
Paul brought
Board of
up.
Fire
So-
Commissioners, the fire chiefs report to the Board of Fire Commissioners. There is no Board of Chiefs,
Yes, there is.
not in the statutes.
They're in our charter.
I didn't find it. Is there?
Yeah.
Board of Fire Chiefs.
It's an ordinance? By ordinance.
So you're correct. He's correct.
So
But
with,
it's not in the
with,
charter, it's in
with
the
the life
ordinance.
changes that you're speaking about happening, right? One way to solve that as well is to make those terms shorter for the other positions that are moving up. So if we're gonna have a 2-year term for the chief, then maybe the other position should be 2 years. And I don't know how, I'm not in the fire department, guys, so please, I know
Right.
some of this sounds stupid, but I
I
know
haven't
they
been
all
for a
work a
while,
little
so-
The
differently
fire
as
chiefs
well.
are
but-
responsible for the daily operation of the fire department.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the budget.
No, the budget is through the Board of Fire Commissioners. It comes up through, I'll tell you how it works.
Well, you could tell me how it works in no disrespect, because, I respect you I have the utmost respect for you, Mr. Atkins, but I can tell you, and Commissioner Miller's here, there has not been one fire commissioner since I've sat in this office that has presented the budget. It's the fire chiefs that put the budget together, and it's the ones that present the budget.
I'm just telling you,
As finance commissioner, I do sit with people and do that.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, some of what I'm hearing as reasons to not do the 3-year term, and again, in all respect, maybe for you guys, 3 years, everyone seems to think this is way too long, even though there's a way to get out. I also respect there's a way to
understand that,
reelect.
yeah.
But as someone sitting here, I'm just telling you how I feel, my duty is to protect the town of Seymour, the town itself. And like I said, the 1 year for the chief just doesn't seem like an adequate enough time to start things and start seeing them through, so that snowball effect is happening, right? Whether they stay or go. And so that's where I'm landing on 2 years. And in respect to what Commissioner Wedowitz was saying about how, and also, I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names. Brandon. And what Brandon was also sharing, which I respect and appreciate, if we're concerned with the timeframes, well, then why don't we cut down all of those terms? So it's not good, 3 equaling 12 years, maybe we make it 8, because you know what, a lot can happen in 8 years as well, right? So, I don't see that as myself, I'm not understanding why it's the chiefs to, while I am willing to compromise based on my duty to the town and sitting in this role, I also, and respecting what you guys say, I just think a lot can change, and I don't think all of the explanations are because of a chief having a 3-year term. I think it's a much bigger picture of all of the terms and having to keep in mind what has to be accomplished by everybody, and commissioners being allowed, or chiefs being allowed to go more than 2 years, if that's the desire of however that works, the House, who's ever appointing them, the decisions for the chief, however that works, that would solve everything. It's not just the term of the chief that's causing all of those bumps and problems. That's how I'm understanding it.
it's a term of 8 years if you want to be a chief. 8 years. as long as I can remember, except for a few years now, lately it's changed, it's always been 2 years.
8
For the
years,
chiefs, all
absolutely.
this is- and each year they move up. And again, during that process, you review them every year, you have to reply every year. So, I mean, there's checks and balances in that.
Understood, I'm just going by the
What's the-
3 times 4 comment that Commissioner Whittle.
What's the 2 years right now? They're changing the chief every 2 years?
Well, no, it's every year.
That's every year, right?
They have the
It's-
potential.
It's been,
But
it's been 2
typically,
years.
what he's
It's been
saying,
2
every-
years.
But typically, they've been every 2 years.
Yeah,
Right.
every 2 years.
The books,
On the
This
books, it says
is-
one, but typically, as history says, it's every 2 years.
Every
we get
2
the
years. And there's
In the
one,
last, so is the board, is the commission, is the fire commission here?
2 members are,
Two.
Two.
You're brand new on the commission, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the chairman of the board of fire commissioners is not here?
Correct.
He's not here?
no?
Okay. In your experience, sir, the process that's been going on in 57 years of service, has there been a point in which there hasn't been candidates or a worry of a candidates coming up every year for review?
yes,
There has.
sure.
So the number of people that are qualified and that are coming through the ranks has been an issue. So I'm just trying to understand, the gentleman that submitted these, requests for the, ordinance, what's the reasoning of doing it on paper for every 3 years? Is it because, and as he stated, was you can't get the ball rolling, or it's difficult to get the ball rolling because you gotta worry about being applied again? Because I don't understand why it's 1 or 3, why he's asking for 3.
Were you
Plus,
here when Chris mentioned that,
No.
or was that before?
That was before he was on the
Before.
board.
Okay, so so in 1 year, and I agree with this, with my experience, not with the fire department, but with almost anything. In 1 year, you really can't get anything done.
No, hold on for a second, because 2 minutes ago you said you're not a fireman, and you didn't know, so
We're not
how
gonna
do you
start
know that
arguing.
we can't get, what's that?
Chris Edwards, who wrote the ordinance, when he presented it to
He
us, he
said-
was very clear that in 1 year, you cannot really get much done because you're in the role for the first time.
But he hasn't been
and
in a
you're-
position where it's only been 1 year, because he's already commissioned, the
he was
chief
talking
for
about when
3.
he first started.
He was talking about when he first started.
But that's the process,
Yeah,
of
when
how
you first start,
he moved
yeah.
up too, right?
And you just get acquired with something, it's gonna take you a period of time, right, to understand everything. I know you're learning across that, but you're also, once you're in charge, now you're gonna own it, it's a little different.
Stability.
And I made the comment
But I
that
don't
he wasn't
understand how-
going to,
Well, you're just
he's
a-
not doing it for his benefit, because he's already been chief for more than 3 years. And
Right.
he's recommending 3 years to allow that individual to finish what they start, get things done.
Yeah.
Where,
Based on
yeah.
yeah, 'cause
So
that's what
the
he said.
ordinance is presented because he thinks that if he was stifled that 1 year, he wouldn't be able to get it going.
This
and-
has
and
nothing
move
to
it
do with him. This has to do with stability of the fire department
as we go forward.
as we go forward.
And the same for the
Stability.
town, we're protecting the town.
So you have to understand that our firefighters are volunteers. I know you don't understand that, but our volunteer firefighters, so getting calls out during the day. Everybody is focused, I feel, everybody's so focused on this 3-year term that you're forgetting everything else that's in this ordinance. It's about not being able to get trucks out during the day. It's about the numbers of volunteers we have. It's about training not only town employees, but maybe people that work at Thule, maybe people that work at RAF, maybe people that work at Basement Systems, maybe people that work at Contractor Nation. Maybe those people are firefighters in their town and giving them the ability to come and join the Seymour Fire Department, not Great Hill Hose, not Citizens, but the Seymour Fire Department, and them coming in and them being trained by the Seymour Fire Department, whether it's at a drill night at Great Hill Hose or it's at a drill night at Citizens, but coming together and learning about the trucks and working as a team and working under the line officers. That's also in here, but so far we spent about 20 minutes focused on the
It's 3
length of a,
ordinances, all right, 3 separate ordinances?
It's one ordinance.
It's one
He's just
ordinance,
dividing
but
the one ordinance with three components.
Phil,
Right. Go ahead.
you just asked, what's the difference about being on a team for a year, right?
I understand that.
it's one ordinance, but
I'm
it's,
just trying to
there's
understand.
different sections of the ordinance.
I
Yeah.
understand that. I
And
get
the
that.
one item that we're focusing on, the term, is because that seems to be the biggest
That's
sticking
the one
point,
that's
what that,
stuck.
Well, I mean, we're listening, right? We're listening to what people are trying to say.
right, but that's why you asked, like, what was the point of the 3 years? It is, you're right, I'm not a fireman, but I have a lot of management experience, so there's nothing that there's very little you can do in 1 year when you're first in the role, and that's what Chris was saying.
I hear you, I understand that, but 57 years of experience just came to the podium and said it's been working.
I understand that as well, but
Alright,
I think we
okay.
can all admit, and in all due respect, because I have the highest respect for you as well, things are so much different today than they were that long ago, or even 30 years ago, or even, and I was around even 20 years ago. So we have to keep that in mind, because this great gentleman, these great people in here aren't always going to be here, right? So we can't have it, we have to keep that in mind. I can't just hear this has worked for 57 years, in all due respect, and think this is gonna work for 57 more years, because what worked just 20 years ago in a non-fire department doesn't work anymore. So we have to evolve and make sure we're making the decision to protect the town.
Emery? 3 comments. 1, compromise. 2 years with 1-year extensions, that's a compromise. I have no problem with fire commissioners being 2 years versus 3, it doesn't matter to me. I'm looking at the future. I have no problem proposing the ordinance change for 2 years, from 3 years for a fire commissioner, doesn't matter to me. And I'm not aware of too many people really complaining about the town employees, with the exception of one thing, the training. That's the only comments I have heard. It's no big deal. We all understand the issue during the daytime significantly. In fact, today during the daytime, when I got out of my doctor's appointment, I listened to the tones, and Derby couldn't get a truck out after 3 towns. And then Sonia needed something, so they went to Seymour, but that didn't occur. So we definitely have a big issue here in the valley, including FEMA. And that's going to be one of my primary pushes to address. But again, I don't think I heard too many people complaining about the town employees. The comments I had was making sure that they interact with training.
Yeah, I did like
Entry
what
after
Mr.
training.
DeSantos mentioned
Yeah.
about them training with the actual department. I think that was spot on. I think
Yeah.
they have
I
to
think
do
that
that.
makes sense.
If you want me to rewrite something, it's fine.
Come up.
We have the ability to rewrite, Paul. This is the town of Seymour's ordinance, not the Seymour Fire Department ordinance.
Name and address, please.
Hello, Edward Willis. I live at 15 Sanford Street. Having been a former commissioner for, I've been around too long, it was either 6 or 7 years. I want you to understand, 1 year versus 3 years. Some chiefs will stay in that position for 2 years or 1 year, or they'll get moved up every year if the commissioners feel they have the talent to do that. I've seen chiefs get pushed back with somebody come in from the outside and take their slot. It is, most of them serve more than 1 year, okay? If they continue to be interested in it, they want to do it, and the commissioners approve it, it could wind up to having somebody be a chief for 10 years. There'd be a lot of moaning and groaning, but we have the ability right now. We have, in my experience, given chiefs, yep, he's good, we like what he does, let's keep him here another year. That doesn't go away. That's in our system right now. We've never had a problem with that. And, you know, I understand the difficulty getting trucks out sometime, but we seem to have a very good mutual aid system throughout the state and especially here in the valley. Okay, we all show up in both directions, all 10 directions here in the valley. But you are not limited to a one-year term. Like I said, I've seen a chief get pushed back and somebody come in new from the outside who was not a chief before, and he made a chief and he was put ahead of some other people. So it is changeable every year. We could literally, if the commissioners decide this guy is that good, we could every year make him FD1 again, or FD4. It does happen. Rarely, but it does happen. It always seems to have been a habit. I've been here 50 years now, 50 years plus in the department. It always seemed to be a habit for 2 years. I don't think there was anything written in stone or anything, but it seemed to be the norm. But you could, a chief could, if he gives the commissioners what they want to hear and performs like that, he could be here literally 10 years. It's probably an exaggeration on my part, but it can happen the way the system has been working.
So I have a
But
question.
you saying that about the 2 years kind of spells out that maybe the 2-year window is correct then. I mean, that they, if it's typically the
It seemed
2 year-
that was a habit. I don't
Yeah.
think there was a written rule or anything.
So
Right.
then,
But you could be gone in a year too. You know what?
But you have the
weren't giving us
processes
what
to
you-
still be able to do that. I think that's kind of,
So if the fire commissioners review every year, and the ordinance is changed to, so let's say 2 years, because I agree, that is a good compromise. They still have the ability, the chief's in term for 2 years by the ordinance. The commission still has the ability on their review every single year.
Every year.
To say, okay, because of this, this, and this, we're gonna remove him from his commission.
Absolutely.
That still would be in place.
And that has,
So the only thing is, we get that, continuity that we're talking about, and it's a compromise, and we go from there. So, I mean, I don't.
well, that's right, because it was at 2, and then somehow it got changed to 1.
I
But if,
don't
No,
know that
it's
it
always
was ever
been
a
2.
so but
standard
if,
2 years.
no, it's
oh,
always,
no, you're
It
saying,
seemed to
okay.
go
it might have
along
always,
that way.
you're just saying it kind of always fell that way.
Right.
Yeah, it just always fell that way, but, and you know what? Just about everyone that applies for chief has been through the officer's seats in a separate firehouse.
well, isn't that a requirement?
I can't tell you all of them, but that is
It's
one
one
of
of the
them.
requirements.
And they have to have different courses they have to take and have graduated. It is really a fine tooth comb they go through their background with. And it has worked for, like I said, 50 years that I'm aware of.
So then,
And like I said, you still, if they work, you could keep somebody, you know, I'm just throwing a number out, 10 years. If
I'm
he's
all
that
for
good,
us doing a 2-year. Brandon, do you think that?
thank you.
Thank you,
Would
Mr.
that
Willis.
fly, Grant?
Yeah, I mean, so I suggested that I sent the same, not the exact same document, just our comments, 'cause Chris is the one that obviously proposed these, so he knew about the changes. I sent him our comments, you know, and we went back and forth in email briefly Monday and this morning, and I was just like, I think 2 years is quite the compromise. I think a lot of the folks at the firehouse that I represent would agree, right? If it's been 2 years kind of informally for the past however many
Right.
years, it kind of makes sense. If you want to solidify a longer term, you know, solidify it as 2 years, because based on the feedback that I received, 3 years is seen as being a.
Well, and I could understand that 12 years, you know, you get married, you have kids, yeah, you have kids,
Oh, God.
they take up time,
Not again.
yeah. You're getting older. Family kind of gets annoyed because you're never there, you're always at the family, I understand that, I lived there for a while, right? So, but I can understand the 8 years, but it also gives the ability, because it was at one of the meetings where, I remember when it was, Selectman Andrews was a chief or a commissioner at the time, where there was requirements put in for the chiefs. And it was at one of our public meetings, I asked, what are those requirements or those guidelines? And someone said it was guidelines, and I about hit the roof, because if we're putting in regulations for our chiefs, requirements for our chiefs to have, our chiefs, just like our police department, our fire chiefs are responsible for protecting 17,000 residents, our biggest assets, and drive $1 million vehicles, right? Those are the fire trucks, not the Tahoes they drive.
right? And our other biggest, our other biggest assets are our firefighters. You know, there are more rules and regulations coming down from, from the Connecticut General State Statutes and from OSHA that our volunteers have to follow what paid firefighters have to do. So I want to make sure when we're moving chiefs forward that they have the requirements, not the guidelines, but the requirements that were set forth in that. But if our practice is 2 years, I don't see an issue with 2 years. I mean, I'm going to move this to the Board of Selectmen to go to public hearing. Just let you guys know. Public hearing is just like what we're doing now, where everybody's giving their feedback on it, and then we draw up the final ordinance for everybody to talk about. But Brandon, I like what you come with, and the training and the oversight. Everybody should be trained to the same curriculum. The same curriculum. Everybody in the Seymour Fire Department. I know we use Great Hill and we use Citizens, but those are just associate houses. This is Seymour Fire Department, right? It's one fire department, different houses, but I understand the difference between them. And if we're gonna have non-residents, town employees, and people that work in the town of Seymour that could leave their jobs to help get the trucks, then yes, I think opening it up to other people to train with our fire department, maybe Seymour Fire Department can learn something from somebody who's a Prospect firefighter or somebody who's a Wolcott firefighter, right? Or a paid fire department from someplace else. I think it's just opening up and learning and saying that maybe our way isn't always the right way or the way that we do things.
Can I ask a question on that point?
Yeah.
You mad at me? So, in this section of the ordinance, suggestion, I understand adding the employees of the town of Seymour because, we got manpower, can't get trucks out, I understand that point, but is it beneficial to say, any employee of the town of Seymour? Or would it be beneficial to word it differently that you're not an employee of the town of Seymour, you're a qualified firefighter, you're working in Seymour, or you previously were in Seymour and you're visiting Seymour and you're hearing a call goes in. You don't have to make, under this ordinance, employees of the town, they don't have to, the requirements of membership, but you don't lose the requirements of your qualifications and chain of command and all that, and who's in charge on the scene and all that stuff. But why is it only to an employee of the town of Seymour? Can it be opened up a little bit further? Maybe I'm missing a liability issue or something like that, but I think you expand your pool if you open it up to more than just employee of the town of Seymour. Somebody may want to help me with that one?
If I understand Brandon, the idea is, and please speak up and correct me if I'm wrong, the equipment can be different from somewhere else and how they specifically do things and their processes can be different from somewhere else. So they're asking that, they're calling out the town employees because they would like them to build a rapport with a house and go to that training so they can become specialized in that firehouse's processes and procedures and learn their equipment. And Phil, I'll give you an example. My husband's a fireman in Trumbull. Very different, still fireman, but it's different than here. He's a driver in Trumbull. The trucks Trumbull have are different than the trucks that Seymour have. So it's going to feel different, it's going to work different, and you need training on being able to very quickly and efficiently operate the equipment and get the trucks out. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, I think, the main concern that the gentleman that approached me had was the fact that we go every Tuesday night, right, and we have drill, and we practice different scenario-based training, right, depending on the time of year. It might be like ice water rescue, it could be car accidents, it could be related to house fires, etc. We have different equipment than what Citizens has, right? Like we have a tanker, so we do a lot of tanker operations up at Great Hill, and we do a lot of drills focused on that because we don't have a lot of hydrants up on the hill. So the reason why they were concerned about this was, well, if you're a town employee, right, and you're coming to the Great Hill Fire Department, you don't really know everything that's on our trucks because you don't really train with us, right? And vice versa, like just like if they were to go to Citizens and they never trained with Citizens, it'd be the same case. So I think their concern was mainly that like they would want them to train with one of the houses, right? It's
Yeah.
not like based on preference. It's just like Citizens trains on Wednesdays, we train on Tuesdays. You know, like we just want people to train with us so that they can learn the way in which we tackle different scenarios. And then to comment on what you mentioned, Mr. Wilme, related to other employees outside of town employees and why they're not listed here. I mean, if I had a guess, right, like it's a pretty big investment to provide us with the equipment that we have, right, and the gear that we have. Like me personally, I have my own gear that was measured to myself, and it's thousands of dollars, right? So I can understand if you open it up to anybody that's kind of like in the town of Seymour, it could be difficult, right, to kind of finance that in a sense. And I think that's why Mr. Chief Edwards addressed
Okay.
it to town employees
Yeah.
specifically.
But if I was only saying that, okay, so whatever requirements you're requiring of an employee of the town to additionally do this service, can we open it up to others that have the same qualification, their own gear, or whatever the case may be? It just gives you a bigger gene pool to
Of course,
pull
but
from.
I would,
That's the only question
sorry,
I'm asking.
sorry, I would worry about the gear, maybe not like, all right, I hate to throw our fellow town under the bus, but a certain town that borders us didn't have their gear up to date and they were fined by OSHA, and if that person got hurt while on our site, you know what I mean? I would worry about that. That's why.
Okay.
But yeah.
But
and that's why-
how do these town employees get protected from that? Do
Well, they would have to have the gear, and they would have to be checked by, if they had their own, like, say, you know, if it's a driver, he's not going into a building, but he still needs to have his turnout gear, the chief would have to look at the gear, the safety officer would have to make sure they had the proper gear,
Right.
and that it was all in
Like
compliance.
he does that for the listed town employee, can he also do that for, say, somebody that's a registered fire department, registered fireman, and not a town employee? That's the only question.
Maybe.
You know,
Maybe.
That's the only part that I have encircled was an employee of the town.
Right.
Maybe we could open it up larger, that's all.
Maybe. Brandon, hold on, Chris and Brandon, I had a question. Fire company membership in the Seymour Fire Department should require active affiliation with one of the two recognized fire companies. Membership outside the fire company should not be permitted. So, I'm gonna age myself here, Mr. Atkins. I remember when you had to go and you applied and you went through probation? No, right? You put in your application, they looked at it, and depending on who sat on the committee, it was a yay, or it was a no, or it was a no way in heck type deal, right? Is it still that way? So pretty much, so how would we stop that from happening if, you know, for a town employee? You know what I mean? They have to have a membership. What if the membership guide, board didn't want the member? Do you follow what I'm saying?
It can happen, but
Very rare.
most people, the vast majority, because if they all get a background done through the police department, they all gotta pass a background check before they even go that far.
Well, I know passing a background check, but I would be worried about, you know, no, we just don't want that person, or no, we didn't want this person.
Well, I guess you could probably, somebody could always
okay.
try to sneak something through.
Yeah, okay.
Has it happened? Possibly, maybe not.
Okay.
It's like hiring a regular new employee or anything else. You got a probationary period, okay, either they work or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Partway through the probationary period, they're spoken to, told what they need to improve upon, or, you know, the officers are happy with it. There's a lot of steps to go through on
Okay.
probation.
And then the social membership thing
Yeah.
wouldn't be a requirement,
Yeah,
right?
it wouldn't be a requirement for town employees. Like, we could waive that, was what was suggested.
So basically, it would be a membership that says join the Seymour Fire Department, so it's a different definition of a member?
Well, typically the way it works is you would join one of the firehouses, right?
So you
Based
are
on
joining
proximity,
as a member,
right.
so it's a different
like,
category?
I'm a member of the Great Hill Hose Company, but I'm also a member of the Seymour Fire Department. So
Right.
But there's nobody that's not a member of either firehouse.
I just want to remind, as we're going back and forth, this is being recorded, and nobody can hear anybody in the audience if you're
Because
not
they're
at the
not at the
microphone. So,
Okay.
Okay. So I thank you, Brandon, for this information. This is something for us to go back and we can add it in and give the ordinance a little bit more of a bite, if you will, more strength to it. My only thing is, are they joining Seymour Fire Department, or are they drawing Great Hill or Citizens? What Great Hill is asking about is that they make a differential, either you're joining Great Hill or you're joining Citizens. But to me, sorry, I'm gonna say it, is it's Seymour Fire Department. The houses are activities, to do activities. It's the Seymour Fire Department. I just don't wanna take everything Great Hill is giving us, and then, sorry, Commissioner Miller, Citizens comes back with, whoa, and then this is prolonged down the road. So we're gonna have another meeting on this, and then I wanna put this to bed, because this has been kicked since September. And I would like to get this going. I don't like our ordinances to sit here for so long.
And I just want to make one more comment for everyone to consider, right? So I respect and I agree with the rapport that you want to build and the equipment that they have to be trained on. My concern and what I want you to think about is, what if all the town employees or the majority join one house and it's the other house that needs the extra help during the day? So
It's
just,
dual coverage.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a difference. And just to comment, like, I think everybody would be indifferent to what house they join as long as they're training with somebody, right? Like, it's just like the rapport building, the team building, right? The soft skills that you build through training with other people, because nobody does anything individually
Okay.
at the firehouse. And that was the key point that everybody was making.
okay, thank you.
Come up
If
to the
anyone else is
microphone.
going to
Yeah,
speak, please
yeah.
speak in the microphone.
Yeah.
One more comment. Some of you are much too young to remember. We had this situation years
Never
ago with
assume.
the Key Wrights Fire Brigade,
Yeah.
okay? Maybe you need to look back at that, and I mean, that worked for many, many years until they dissolved the fire brigade over there.
Well, that's
But
because
they-
OSHA said no more fire brigades, that's why.
You don't have to call it a fire brigade.
We can call it something else.
The reason
but
you
yeah.
join a house is the path to becoming a Seymour firefighter is to join apply at one of the houses. It's the only way you could become a member of the Seymour Fire Department. You have to enter through one of those houses. That's why that comes up all the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Christian Miller, 46 Bunting Road. Just to answer your question regarding outside employees other than town employees, it would be going to those companies to see if they would actually allow their employees to leave and actually fight Seymour fires. So I'm just hoping it doesn't come to where the town of Seymour is going to have to compensate non-Seymour employees or town employees for if they were. That's the only thing I look at.
That's the only thing.
Only for me,
Okay.
yeah, that's why I would say they wouldn't before, but they can't get the,
Well,
just to leave.
There's a statute that says that you can't stop them from leaving, you have to
Okay.
pay them.
But getting bodies is the main goal.
Well, that's
here,
the
right?
main goal, is to get
Getting
bodies.
is the main
Yes,
goal.
that is correct.
Okay.
All right. So is there any other public comment? Without further public comment, we will adjourn the meeting. What?
Can you guys just take a motion to set a public hearing for the ordinance committee for Tuesday, February 17th at 6 p.m.?
Make a motion to set a public hearing for the ordinance committee on Tuesday, February 17th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 4-0.
Before you shut down, did you have to say anything about sidewalks, or just at least if you're gonna table it?
No, Mackenzie's not here. We'll
Make a motion to table the
make a
sidewalks.
motion to table sidewalks.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Motion by Trish, second by Phil. Discussion, no, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting adjourned 6:58.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody, for your
Yeah,
time.
thank you.